So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Katig at Layag, the launching of the Summer Field School website project. So this project is part of the Ateneo Socio-Cultural Field School. And in its pilot year, this class is a collaboration between the Institute of Social Order and the Ateneo de Manila University, Department of Sociology and Anthropology, Anthropological and Sociological initiatives of the Ateneo. So join us as the students present the highlights of their project and their learning experiences as well. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Liza Lim, Director of the Institute of Social Order, for the welcoming remarks.
Thanks. Thank you, Kyla. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Katig at Laya, launching of the Summer Field School website project of the Socio-Anthropology 197.1 and 197.2. The Summer Field School is a collaborative effort of the Institute of Social Order, or ISO, and the Department of Sociology, Anthropology, Anthropological, and Sociological initiatives of the Ateneo, or DSA-ASIA. Its aim is to provide the students with the opportunity to conceptualize and implement a closely supervised inquiry on sociocultural issues affecting groups, communities, social structures, and persons in a Philippine locality or overseas. If I understand it correctly, this is the first round of this course for the DSA. For its part, the ISO view its involvement in the program as a response to the challenge of summoning the youth to engage citizenship, which is embodied in the renewed plan of the Society of Jesus Philippine Province. ISO, for those of you who do not know yet, is a Jesuit social apostolic institution and one of the oldest NGOs in the country. Its main mission is promoting faith that does justice through its work among the marginalized sectors of society. In recent years, the ISO has adopted community-based coastal resources management project, which aims to empower the fisher folks through collective action and active engagement in environmental governance. Mangrove management is part of this work, but this work involves community presence and entails long field work. Okay. But since the 1920s, unfortunately, the ISO, like other field-based NGOs, had been heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic and compelled to adjust to conditions of limited mobility. ISO has to find new ways of continuing its work in community organizing, participatory research, networking, and advocacy. One way of doing this is by maximizing social media for communication and for information and education campaigns. And this is where we thought that the participation of the youth will be valuable. Being immersed in the use of social media in practically all aspects of their lives, the youth are most capable in harnessing this for many creative uses. And this is why we believe that the youth can help us develop new ways of reaching out to the world and continuing our advocacies on the reconciliation with creation. As fate would have it, Dr. Glenda Wui approached me to ask if we can accommodate the immersion of fourth-year AV Sociology majors under a challenging condition of not being able to take them on field. But drawing from our experiences of working in elementary and high school students in our program areas, where we learned of the youth's interest in doing something for the environment, we thought, why not? Okay. Challenge accepted. Okay. And so we embarked on this journey to provide the students with the opportunity to meet our program partners on field, to do collaborative work with each other and with our equally young and innovative staffs in the development of knowledge materials and setting up of an information website on mangrove initiatives in close consultation with our community and LGU partners in 3 ISO program areas: San Fernando City in La Union, Pulion in Palawan, Siruma in Camarines Norte. I should say our initial intuition was right. The fourth-year sociology students were able to come up with very creative knowledge materials at a very limited time period. You will see a glimpse of this in their presentations today. I think their exposure to sociological thinking and methods thus served them and us as well. Okay. It is in acknowledgement of the students' outstanding work that we felt that getting them presented in public is very important. And we wish to show everyone here their job well done. Okay. We wish to show also how dedicated and talented these AB sociology students are. Through this public presentation as well, we wish to thank them for being here and doing this work. In process, we also wish to enjoin the DSA-ASIA to continue the summer immersion program. Okay. Let me end by explaining a bit about the theme of the website, which the students will launch today, however, for us anyway. Okay. Katig at Layag. Okay. Outrigger and sail. A small non-motorized boat, which are fisher partners, usually have this, okay, these boats. The Katig or outrigger provides the balance to an occupied boat, which the Layag help the boat to gain speed through the help of the wind. In a way, this symbolizes this collaborative effort which we have embarked with the students during this intersession. The DSA Summer Immersion Program is a boat which can symbolize travels to new directions. The ISO is the Katig, which provides grounding to the students in their pursuit of ways to address the needs of the communities. The students, on the other hand, are the Layag, which provide the ideas that can spread the information and facilitate environmental education. With the boat having all the needed parts, our local partners and stakeholders who are in this boat can move on hopefully into the future. This, in a way, dovetails very well with the theme of our 74th anniversary, namely braving the waves of the pandemic through community and collaboration. At this point, we are doing this, riding this boat, the boat of the Summer Immersion Program. So thank you very much. Once again, magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Salamat po.
Thank you po, Dr. Lim, for the warm welcome. So now that we have been introduced to the Institute of Social Order or ISO, we will now proceed with Dr. Glenda Wui, Assistant Professor from the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, who will tell us more about the project. And she will be followed by Ms. Samantha Poblete, Research Coordinator of ISO, who will be giving us an introduction to the website.
Maraming salamat, Kyla. So, good morning, everyone. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. So, thank you for coming to the public launch of the website project of our English Sociology seniors. So, the summer field school course of the students, the Ateneo Sociocultural Laboratory, was designed in such a way that the students will be given the opportunity to immerse themselves in the community for the conduct of their research. They have been looking forward to this experience as a highlight of their being a sociology major. But the pandemic changed that. With the community immersion fieldwork out of the picture, we have to devise an alternative where the aim of the course for knowledge co-production is still fulfilled. Knowledge co-production would lead the students to have the understanding of the context of the subject of their study. They should also acknowledge pluralism or the multiple ways of doing and doing, as well as interactivity in knowledge production, where there is ongoing interaction among the students and the communities. I was fortunate to have met Dr. Lim earlier in the class we taught. Together with some ISO staff, we talked about the possible projects that the students could undertake for the course. We finally settled with the website project. What transpired was the implementation of the overall aim of the course for knowledge co-production with the presence of ISO staff in the field sites in San Fernando, La Union, Ciruma in Camarines Norte, and Culion in Palawan. The ISO staff helped connect the students to the communities, setting up Zoom interviews, FTVs, telephone interviews, and distributing questionnaires to the communities. The support extended by the ISO enabled the students' fieldwork and connection to the communities possible. Maraming salamat sa mga taga-ISO for doing all this to the students. Although the students' research experience is not quite the same as actually being in the field, if anything, what transpired, what the students' website project showcased, is how knowledge co-production is in research is possible in the context of the pandemic-induced lockdowns where field site visits are not possible. We are extremely grateful to the ISO staff for their all-out support to the students in gathering data in the field and their feedback on the students' outputs. We are likewise, we are likewise extremely proud of our students who worked hard and exhibited exemplary resilience in completing their projects despite the toll of the pandemic on their well-being. Through their website project, our students practice public sociology at its very essence. Public sociology aims to harness the analytical power of the discipline and its ability to benefit society. Through their sociological eyes, the students were able to come up with a project that programs how the personal agencies can be mobilized to address structural problems leading to mangrove degradation, how the laws and ordinances at the level of the structure need reforms to bring about change in personal practices, among others. We hope you find the students' project useful and contribute to finding ways of addressing a public concern, which is the continuing degradation of our mangroves, which is the very essence of public sociology. I will now turn you over to Sam Puglete from ISO to talk more about the website project. On to you, Sam. Maraming salamat.
Hello, thank you, Ma'am Glenda. So now I will introduce you the website made by the students. So let me share my screen. Here. So first, this is the homepage of the ISO website. So in here, you'll find the website menu. So in who we are, you'll find the history, vision and mission, and the people behind ISO. The next tab is the social transformation and grassroots empowerment program tab. So this shows the project areas of the ISO and the components of the stage program. And the next is the stories and publication tab, where you can find the stories of interest on ISO's advocacies and local partners. Then also we have the services and facilities page, where you can find some photos of the ISO facilities, and the contact us page, where you can find the details if you want to communicate with us. So if you want to reach the Mangrove website project, just click on the collaborations page. Here. So in the collaborations page, this is what will show. It's the class airport, the homepage of the Mangrove website project. So as mentioned a while ago by Dr. Lim and Dr. Wui, this is a collaborative project of the Ateneo de Manila AB Sociology students under the Ateneo Sociocultural Field School with the ISO and DSA-ASIA. So in here, you'll find a brief overview of the mini projects. So first is the Ciclo Tibiag, the mangroves and marine ecosystem of San Fernando City, La Union. So in here, you'll find some introduction on mangrove conservation in the global context and in the local context. So there. So just click on the visit page button, and that will lead you to the website of the La Union team. So it's not loading. My internet is kind of slow. So here, just a quick run through of the website. So you can check the ISO website to view more. So in here, you'll find some stories of interest of the local conservation leaders in San Fernando City, La Union. You can also find the new characters created by the students. Apologies, it's Groovy and Pawi. So the students will talk more about that later. There. And they also created a video on mangrove conservation and climate change. And also a video on community-based coastal resource management. There. So you can just check the website to know more. The next page is the website developed by the Culion team. So it focuses on waste management and mangroves of Culion, Philippines. So improper solid waste management is one of the top community issues of the community in Culion. So the team focused on this issue to develop a campaign to develop awareness on this problem and also to promote proper solid waste management. So just a quick run through of the website. So you can just check the website later. Yeah, just click on this button, visit page. And then lastly is the Siruma Teams project. So this talks about the mangrove conservation efforts in Siruma, Camarines Sur with special focus on aquasilviculture, which is a nature-based solution to revert idle fish ponds into mangrove forests. So please check that on the ISO website. So please don't forget, our website URL is instisocialorderph.org. There. So then just check out the collaborations menu. Just click it. Then it will bring you to the mangrove website project. So that's all. Thank you very much. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank the students and the DSA for choosing ISO as their partner. We're very glad to be the partner of the DSA to serve as a platform for the youth in engaging and practicing public sociology. So thank you very much for letting us host the Mangrove website project. Thank you. Back to you, Kyla.
Maraming salamat po, Dr. Wee and Ms. Poblete. So now we're going to proceed to the highlight of the event. So that's the students' presentations. So each group will present highlights of their project to be followed by a short sharing of their reflections and experiences from the class. So first off, we have the La Union group who will share about the marine and coastal management efforts in the city of San Fernando, La Union, and introduce us also to the world of Pawi and Groovy. So we're ready. If you're ready, Team La Union.
A pleasant day to everyone. Naimbag nga adlaw. We are happy to have you join us in welcoming the Summerfield School website project. For the past few months, we have been working closely with local communities and the ISO. The Mangrove Website Project, a research academic-based student initiative dedicated to promoting greater environmental awareness, results from this collaborative engagement. To begin, we present to you Sikloti Biyag, which translates to the Circle of Life. It is part of the Mangrove Website Project with a particular focus on working with the community of San Fernando, La Union. It aims to promote mangrove conservation awareness and education, community-based environmental conservation, and working at the grassroots in pursuit of protecting and rehabilitating mangroves in the country. Sikloti Biyag is an information education campaign all about tackling mangrove conservation that permeates global and local contexts alike. It draws content from academic literature, organizations, and on-the-ground encounters with locals of San Fernando. The engagement celebrates having enjoined various stakeholders to dialogue about environmental protection and management, including their perceptions and aspirations for the future of mangrove conservation. Overall, Sikloti Biyag is our dedication to our partners and locals of San Fernando in light of their efforts towards mangrove conservation and vision for a more sustainable and inclusive future of resource management in their city. In the same vein, we hope Sikloti Biyag can serve the Filipino community as it works towards upholding environmental justice and stewardship in this age of ecological crisis fueled by careless anthropogenic actions.
This is the project's anthem and the 4 components of it. In creating this project, we are constantly committed to raising awareness about the importance of mangroves and doing mangrove conservation. We stand by the call to protect mangroves and other environmental ecosystems. The project is a community-based participatory research wherein we work closely with the community members of San Fernando, La Union. We collaborated with multiple stakeholders such as the Poro Sea Lovers Association and San Fernando City local government in encouraging stakeholder engagement and community-based environmental conservation and management. We encourage raising environmental conservation awareness at a community level through education. We also envision raising environmental conservation awareness and education through re-establishing ecological interconnectedness and the roles of mangroves in the environment and community. Upon our immersion with San Fernando La Union and its context, we were enlightened by the relevance of ecological interconnectedness, on how one environmental problem cannot be solved independently from other similar problems. We tackled the three main concerns of the community, which are the endangered species, marine protection, and mangrove conservation. Accordingly, tackling these issues would also entail the saving of the pawikan, marine life, and mangroves, all of which are important to San Fernando La Union. Through these courses of action, we also get to protect the members of the community as they benefit from the thriving mangrove environment, which is a strong defense during floods, and marine ecosystem for food security and livelihood.
So having conversed with and listened to the locals of San Fernando City, we wanted to find a way to recount their stories and our very own San Fernando encounters. And so we decided to create various flipbooks. So here's a preview of the first flipbook titled All About San Fernando, La Union. So here we wanted to tell the story of San Fernando as a fisherfolk community who, through various environmental conservation efforts spearheaded by the locals and organizations like Senro, Doers, and Before, are combating environmental threats posed by unsustainable rapid urban development. San Fernando's rich marine biodiversity, sightings of sea turtles or the pawikan, and mangrove ecosystems are also featured in this book.
From the group's one-on-one interviews with some of the locals, the group collated their experiences into making our second flipbook titled Humans of San Fernando. Inspired by Humans of New York and Humans of Manila, this flipbook focuses on the narratives of San Fernando's community members and their efforts to protect the city's mangroves and marine life. Here's a preview of the flipbook. You'll see stories of locals who are representatives of various organizations, namely Centro, the Dalumpinas Oeste, Eco Rangers, ISO, Union Christian College, and Poro Sea Lovers Association. We base these stories of interests off their personal experiences and narratives, which includes their perspectives, efforts, goals towards the conservation of mangroves, and message for all, inspiring those who may find themselves in the position to make a difference.
Lastly, the group created the storybook entitled Si Pawi at ang Kanyang Mundong Ginagalawan, an audiovisual storybook that calls the local community of San Fernando and the youth to themselves in pursuing efforts for mangrove conservation and marine conservation. Here's a preview of the storybook that features a voiceover as well. In creating the characters of Pawi and Groovy, our group aimed to present their stories as if it was a lived experience of the audience. In this way, environmental challenges are brought closer and made more understandable to the degree of the reader's daily experiences. Apart from these stories, our engagement with San Fernando also leaves us to think about what we have experienced. First, the challenges with the global pandemic and online learning prove that the field can be anywhere the people are, transcending the physical boundaries to share, discuss, and manifest the common goals and plans with the stakeholders. Working together with the stakeholders from San Fernando La Union and the ISO, despite the challenges of the global pandemic, online learning, and physical boundaries, prove that the field indeed can be anywhere the passion and enthusiasm to produce a website page and case study for the future of these efforts and initiatives towards the mangrove ecosystems is.
Second, throughout creating our case study and website, a recurring theme that arose from both our partner NGO, Institute of Social Order, and our partner community, San Fernando La Union, was the value and importance of empowerment. Empowerment does not mean donating resources and temporary relief. Rather, it is equipping people with the skills they need to stand on their own feet. ISA was always put community-based resource management in the heart of their projects, thus the result of the great undeniable success they have in each endeavor. I believe that applying this principle in any area of our lives as future sociologists is crucial to do magis, to do more in the service of love and of God for the future communities that we will serve.
Third, we bear witness to the greatest strength humans have when facing of which may seem impossible. While each and every person possess their own unique strength to overcome challenges, it is when we work together where all of our efforts will bring forth progress and something greater than just ourselves. But before we could even consider what big changes we can do for the world, we must acknowledge the changes that begins with us as individuals to learn and hone our own skills and perspectives to become the change we want to see in the world. As we continue to grow and expose ourselves to the world around us and acknowledge the problems that affect every person, we begin to see the changes that the world needs. This experience opened my eyes to a community that acknowledges each and every person's strengths and struggles that they face and takes initiative towards making a difference for a community and for every person.
Fourth, at the core of addressing socio-environmental problems is perception. Perception proves to be a fundamental communicative process. The differences in our behavior, judgment, and expectations towards the environment are determined by the diversity in our perceptions. This makes it all the more pivotal that we understand the differences in perceptions that exist. Perceptions are a two-way communication process whose issues must also be addressed two-way. Our perceptions may be different and at times conflicting, but it is crucial we understand why to avoid miscommunication and perhaps reach a similar responsibility towards the environment.
Fifth, after the website project, we realized the role of mangrove ecosystems and keeping the coral and seagrass ecosystems clean and healthy, and consequently, how a clean and healthy marine ecosystem protects and sustains the different marine species in the area by providing them food and clean oxygen. Ultimately, this project made me aware of the importance of maintaining a balanced marine environment to protect and sustain coastal communities who rely on marine life, particularly marine and aquatic resources, for their livelihood and for enhanced food security, among others.
Lastly, one notable thing that everyone from the community was passionate about was their hopes for the future and the future generations. Everyone's goal is to improve the situation of the environment, specifically the mangroves and the marine ecosystems, not just for the present effects, but more importantly, the sustainability of these effects to last generations, even after they retire from their positions or professions, and let the youth take their place in leading. As I recount the interviews we had with community members for this project, I am reminded of our respondents' constant call for the youth to take action in the cause of mangrove conservation. This selfless call to the cause ultimately benefits the youth themselves in the future, for them to live in a better place that they presently call home.
Having all this said, Pawi and Ruby can't wait to meet all of you. It was a fun, engaging, and enlightening journey for our group, our partner community, San Fernando, and our partner organization, ISO, to bring you our website, flipbooks, infographics, and all other materials in hopes of contributing to current nation-building capacities. One of the San Fernando locals said, "We should protect mangroves, and the mangroves will protect us. The connection between us and nature is unmistakable. Our relationship with the environment demands coexistence to share this one world we live in. Let us protect creatures like Pawi and Ruby because in the end, each species, including us and everything in between, must have had a space to thrive." We invite all of you to take the time to read through all of AB Sociology Batch 22's materials. Let us all take the first step to learn more about mangroves and how to save and conserve them. Moreover, visit ISL's website to learn more about all their amazing projects. We hope that you find them enjoyable and enlightening the same way our entire batch did. Thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you on our website.
Thank you, Team La Union. So it warms our hearts to hear your reflections and your learnings from this project. And we also can't wait to know more about Pawi and Groovy. Ayan. So you have something to look forward to when we look at your web pages. So this next group naman took a deeper look into one of the major challenges in their assigned area, which is Culyon, Palawan. So their website tackles the issues of solid waste management and the perception of fisher folks on this matter. They also produce educational materials that speak both to a more general audience and to the grassroots communities. So let us all welcome the Culyon group. So Culyon, we're ready if you're ready as well.
Hello everyone, we are the Culyon team. I'm Joanne Naxibal, and my group mates are Eli Alconis, Pamela Eliazar, Leandro Lira, Jelen Yames, Paolo Maligalig, and Kat Yuzon. Presenting to you today is our website, and the purpose of our website is to raise awareness to the current situation of Culyon, Palawan with regard to waste management. So we aim to launch an online campaign entitled Bakawang Malinis, Pag-unlad ay Bibilis, with the use of our hashtags to raise awareness to stakeholders that could potentially help the community of Culyon. This online campaign can also lead to organization of projects such as a fundraising event to help improve the waste management in Culyon. Furthermore, we also aim to raise awareness and to educate our audiences through the 2 articles that we made. We also made a brochure for the community members of Culyon for them to be aware of their current situation and for them to know the importance of taking care of mangroves by having a proper waste management.
The first article discusses some of the data we've obtained, both primary and secondary, about the relationship of mangroves and waste, the demographics and effects of waste management in Culyon, as well as calls to action in order to improve the state of this issue in the area. So through our study, we did discover that waste disposal was one of the top 3 environmental issues in Culyon. And by extension, this also threatens the sustainability of its mangrove forests, as well as the livelihood of fisherfolk. So in this article, there are actual quotes and accounts from ISO program implementers and publications that explain how waste mismanagement affects mangroves and fishing. Included also are quotes from the fisherfolk we interviewed, which support the fact that 3 years after its fruition, ISO's project promoting participatory island development strategy for Culyon, Palawan has garnered good results, especially in raising awareness and the mindset of the local communities. But even so, much still needs to be done, especially in the active participation of stakeholders, which all of the interviewees agreed upon.
With the human interest article, we sought to create a piece of writing that, while based on facts, can engage readers by telling them a story. Seeing that our respondents were fisherfolk, and seeing how integral the said livelihood is to the island, theirs was the story we decided to focus on. Because of connectivity constraints, we weren't able to dive as deeply into specific individual stories. So in order to create the article, we decided to collate their experiences and to look for recurrent themes. The article begins with an introduction to Kulyon, a brief nod to its history and current status, and an explanation of the importance of fishing to the community. From this, we move on to the themes we uncovered. We observed from the interviews that the fishermen viewed fishing through the years as having increased in difficulty. This is not devoid of reasons, as shown in their acknowledgement of the role that solid waste plays in environmental degradation, as shown in the next theme. With this said, we also found out about efforts made at the local level to combat waste pollution and goals set by the locals themselves, requiring cooperation from different stakeholders.
We will be also presenting to you the 3 educational materials or booklets, which will be about the mangrove ecosystem and its importance, history of mangroves in the Philippines, and other conservation efforts. And lastly is the mangroves and society, which showcases the importance and contribution of mangroves in the socio-economic sphere.
This booklet essentially talks about the components of a mangrove system, its benefits, as well as consequences of mangrove destruction to the environment and the community living within it. In the first section, it briefly discusses the different abiotic and biotic factors that help all kinds of organisms and species thrive in the mangrove environment. Examples of these would be abundant rainfall, sedimentation, and also bacteria acting as a decomposer of organic material. The next section emphasizes the benefits of proper management of the mangrove ecosystems. Here, there is a summarized list of reasons why mangrove management should be taken seriously. Among these points are that many coastal people and fisher folk rely on mangroves for their primary source of livelihood, which could be directly related to the fisher folk community in Kulyon. And another would be that it also serves as a safe nursing ground for a wide range of species.
In the last portion of the booklet, we listed some effects of mangrove destruction, which is caused by reasons like water pollution, urbanization, and deforestation, to name a few. This results in a decline in fishery, loss of livelihood, as well as community members being vulnerable to storm waves, erosion, and flooding, all of which the people of Cagayan, Palawan suffer from. To end, we wanted to emphasize the importance of such mangroves and to call on all involved stakeholders to spread awareness and take legitimate actions towards conserving this vital ecosystem.
The second flip book revolves around the history of mangroves in the Philippines. This ebook is divided into 4 main sections: the background of the species in the country, factors of mangrove decline, conservation efforts, and lastly, future outlooks of mangroves in the country. In the first section of this ebook, it generally covers the impacts and influences of modernization to nature, in which human activities like industrialization, infrastructure, and resource obtainment affect the environment. It then further delves into how these acts of modernity affect the mangrove environment, a very important component to the country's ecosystem, as mentioned in the previous section.
The next section revolves around several factors that are responsible for mangrove decline over the past century. These factors include high-scale woodcutting for commercial use, anthropogenic pressures, construction of fish ponds, and lastly, institutional mismanagement. Through these factors, mangrove decline over the past century has become truly prevalent, from around 500,000 hectares in the 1920s down to 120,000 hectares in the 1990s.
In spite of these factors, over the past decades, there have been several conservation efforts that have contributed to the awareness, action, and adaptability of different stakeholders towards mangroves in the country. Examples of these are alternative uses for wood fuels, local mangrove planting, interinstitutional collaborations, waste management programs, mangrove rehabilitation programs and workshops, coastal cleanups, marine protected areas, and aquasilviculture.
To end this section, we discussed our future outlooks on the current status of mangrove conservation and management. For as of this year, there are now 250,000 hectares of mangroves in the Philippines. In recognizing both the efforts being done and the improvement of the condition of mangroves in the country, we must still remain committed to strive and advocate for ideally proper and just authority over these aquatic plant species, as this is done through the involvement, solidarity, and multi-level strategic plans within different sectors, from government organizations to community members.
So with this last educational material, we focus its contents on the socio-economic effects that a well-managed mangrove would be able to bring about. As we mentioned previously, we aim to inform several stakeholders, like the LGUs and NGOs and other concerned entities, of what the ideal situation is to be able to reap the economic benefits of a clean mangrove, in the hopes that this would help them plan effective interventions or programs. And also, to an extent, this could also be a reminder of what their responsibilities are towards achieving a well-managed mangrove. Moving forward, we focused on two socioeconomic aspects and its impacts, namely sustainable livelihoods and ecotourism. To summarize its contents briefly, we pointed out that a well-managed mangrove would be able to act as breeding grounds for fishes, which would translate to more catch for the local fisher folks and therefore more income. Conversely, when activities that damage the mangroves are done, the consequences greatly impact the livelihoods of local fisher folk, as this would mean less catch for them. This would also be beneficial for the people who make a living in aquaculture, as they would have a proper cultivation area for seafood like crustaceans, mollusks, and many more. Lastly, a well-managed mangrove would also promote ecotourism, thus bringing in more profit into the community and furthering economic growth. Its main premise is that ecotourism is able to move significant amounts of monetary value within its area, translating into more income and revenue for the locals making a living in ecotourism. Another important point is that the involvement of mangroves in tourism must entail the use of responsible and sustainable methods to ensure the well-being of the environment.
So with all of that said, those imply to the communities in Colleon, Palawan. Their main livelihood is fishing, and the local fisher folk are the managers of the mangrove and its environment. Due to the environmental problems that are being faced by the community, plus the pandemic, it has become harder and harder for them to make a living. And with this, several organizations were established to promote proper mangrove management conservation. And with this, we hope that our website would be a great platform and source of knowledge and information. And with the help of our online campaign, may we raise awareness and may we help Kulyon be heard and improve their waste management for them to also be able to protect their surroundings, including their mangroves. With that, we invite you to tweet and spread awareness with the hashtags Alagaan ng Bakawan and Pakinggan ang Kulyon. Thank you!
So, hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I am Jel Yames, and I would like to say a few reflection points on behalf of Team Kulyon. First and foremost, this project was really eye-opening for a lot of us, as the plight of fisherfolk isn't something we hear of a lot, especially in mainstream media. Perhaps because most of us who live in urban settings, we would not experience rural living on a daily basis for us to truly understand the condition of such areas instantly. But through this project, we were able to increase our awareness regarding this issue by reading published studies, statistics, and other pertinent information regarding the subject matter, as well as immersing ourselves into the community, if only for a little bit, getting to know their backgrounds, their thoughts, their aspirations. All of this has solidified our determination to keep this advocacy going. Through the interviews with the community members of Kulyon, as they all have a fishing background, our group realized the true importance of community-based coastal resource management, especially in an area like Kulyon. The different insights and narratives of these fisherfolk gave us a deeper understanding of why we must continue to campaign, raise awareness, and give these individuals a platform for them to participate in building ideal change with different institutions, not only for themselves, but for the community of Kulyon. Furthermore, through the experience of conducting fieldwork, we were able to see better the connection between the environment and the people. While mangrove deforestation and the need for conservation is a scientific subject, it also proves that there is always a social aspect to problems because nature is always tied to the people who live within it. So with this, despite the challenges given the pandemic and the changes to different elements of this course, my groupmates and I were still glad to have been a part of such a project. These challenges will not hinder us from helping out other communities, especially those who are severely affected. This course inspired us that online platforms can contribute to raising awareness and in helping different communities, not just in the Philippines, but all over the world too. For us, it is important to have an advocacy in life and to learn to give back. There were even some instances when we would forget that these were intercession classes, rather a way for us to work with the ISO to help in further spreading the different advocacies and awareness programs the organization has been working on for years. The presentations were fulfilling as well because our professors and the ISO members would constantly show their appreciation right after we have presented different materials. Whether it would be topic proposals, project updates, or the actual website presentation, we surely felt the abundance of encouragement along with the constant support from our different facilitators. It was through these that we were all motivated to create website projects that not only the ISO but the DSA would truly appreciate as well. I believe that I speak for the whole class when I say that we are thankful for this opportunity in applying what we have learned over the course of this intersession and creating an output for such an important cause. Therefore, we strive to keep this passion for learning more about sociology and applying this discipline to everyday life. And what better way to apply our learnings than to present our projects during this program today? All in all, we would like to thank our fellow blockmates, our professors, Dr. Wei and Dr. Lim, the ISO workers that guided us through this project, Sir Aaron, Ma'am Kyla, Ma'am Jian, Sir Jerry, and Ma'am Sam, the community members in Colyon who generously shared their time with us, and of course DSA for making this project all possible and successful in spite of the circumstances of this pandemic. It was truly a fulfilling experience and hopefully a step forward to encourage the future students of this course and other individuals to further understand society as a multifaceted phenomenon and how sociology can contribute to making our world a better living space for all. Again, thank you very much for listening to our presentation. Stay well, stay safe, and have a great week ahead, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalan, and the rest of Colyon team for your presentation, and congratulations for your project website. And thank you very much also for featuring the Fisher Folk of Colyon and producing educational materials that can be used by a diverse audience. So last but not the least, we proceed to the Siruma Group. Their work highlights the role of women in the mangrove management efforts in Siruma, Camarines Sur. And their website also features the different environmental policies relevant to mangrove and coastal resource management. And it also features an introduction to aquasilviculture as a more sustainable alternative livelihood for the community. So Siruma Group, you may start.
Hello and good morning po sa ating lahat. So we are from the Siruma Group. So here is our presentation that features the aquasilviculture efforts and at the same time, how rural grassroots women pave the way for sustainability.
Hello, Marhay na Aldaw. I am Steven Pataxo from the Siruma Group, and this group is composed of Gabby Alcantara, RV Berge, Ange Encomienda, Dom Pamatmat, and Matthew Reyes. We are fourth-year AB Sociology students in the Ateneo de Manila University. For our field research course, the Ateneo Social and Cultural Laboratory, we are working on an information, education, and communication campaign for the women-led mangrove conservation initiatives in Siruma, Camarines Sur. Such an endeavor would not have been possible without the Institute of Social Order and Anthropological and Sociological initiatives of the Ateneo.
Coastal communities are some of the most affected populations by climate-related disasters in the Philippines. Such conditions prompt the need to understand how communities adapt and address social vulnerabilities. Siroma makes waves as a coastal community thanks to its women and youth fisherfolk as forerunners of environmental conservation and sustainable livelihood. Enter hashtag Sama-sama sa Siruma, an information, education, and communication campaign that features the mangrove conservation efforts of grassroots fisherfolk. Sama-sama sa Siruma sheds light on aquasilviculture, a unique method that integrates aquaculture with mangrove forestry. In turn, we wish to inspire the country to become more active in national climate action with these initiatives. But before we talk about aquasilviculture and mangrove conservation efforts, let us know more about Siruma. Where is it, and what environmental wonders do their communities bring? Siruma is a fourth-class municipality located along San Miguel Bay in the province of Camarines Sur. As a coastal community, The residents of Siruma are mainly dependent on marine and coastal resources for their livelihood. These natural resources also help them adapt to climate change. Therefore, the sustainability of these resources is crucial to their survival. On June 30, 2020, the Siruma Mangrove Area won first runner-up in the first Best Mangrove Award in Bicol Region, organized by DANR Region 5. It was recognized as one of the best managed mangrove conservation sites and considered as a best practice model for existing and future mangrove conservation and protection initiatives.
Our group has decided to organize the Saruma website into two parts. Those parts being facts on aquasilviculture and stories of interest. This method of organization will hopefully allow quick and easy navigation and access to information regarding Saruma's aquasilviculture as well as the personal insights of individuals working there. The facts page of the website aims to give background information on Saruma's women-led organization and the aquasilviculture systems in the area. At the same time, the Stories of Interest page on the website aims to delve deeper into getting to know the individuals who run the organization.
The first part of the website contains general information and facts on aquasilviculture. It gives a brief background on Siruma and the situation regarding mangrove conservation in the area, as well as initiatives by the ISO and its partners. It focuses on describing the practice of aquasilviculture from an informative standpoint through laying out its process, the laws surrounding its governance, its benefits, as well as the various strategies implemented by the ISO in order to pursue this project. The group decided to use edited photos as well as a mixture of greens, blues, and yellows to utilize aesthetics as a means to draw viewers' attention and keep them engaged, as well as maintain the theme of the website being made for an environmental advocacy.
The stories of interest, also known as the building blocks. Having learned of the advantages of aquasilviculture, the group felt the need to know more about this conservation effort and the leaders who make it possible. Enter the stories of interest, the second part of our website. Our group believes in the power of communities to articulate their everyday concerns and successes. As such, the group incorporated two methods: autophotography and key informant interviews. Autophotography, according to Santh Law and others, captures the world through the participants' eyes. Even with the pandemic, Suruma leaders can feature their lived realities through each photo taken, while key informant interviews enable students and leaders alike to hold in-depth conversations on the importance of aquasilviculture in coastal communities. So, in line with active and meaningful participation, these methodologies enable students and leaders to share knowledge in taking care of the environment.
In this part, we will show you the anatomy of our stories of interest. For each story, the title cover represents the motivations they have as the forerunners of environmental conservation. This part is coupled with a caption which encapsulates the essence of their narratives. Afterward, community leaders are introduced through quotes and their images beside each other. This structure aims to provide a quick glimpse into the lived reality of our community leaders. By doing so, our groups can set the tone for their moving stories of struggle, of success, and of sustainability. Lastly, autophotographs shall continue to enrich these narratives visually. Given all of these, whose stories are we representing? Get to know the stories of 5 dedicated community builders whose efforts keep Saruma vibrant and striving.
Our stories of interest involve successful and extremely passionate women within the community of Saruma, one of which is Tori Acebar, who has been an avid carer for mangroves since her childhood, from her father's mangrove fields to her current role as a community organizer. She continues to show her passion and dedication to mangrove conservation. Today, she encounters newfound prospects to encourage her community members to care for the environment the way she does. Next is Chinky Flores. Her story is inspirational to many of her peers and the youth in the barangay. Growing up in a fisherfolk family, she knows the value of mangroves in her barangay. Thus, she took it upon herself to ensure that mangrove conservation is done right, under her watch as the president of the local people organization. Chinky Flores continues to fight for what she believes in and does not show any signs of giving up. Then there's 59-year-old Nancy Lamadrid, who has been balancing her responsibilities as a homemaker and mangrove caretaker for quite some time now. Upon adopting the practices of aquasilviculture back in 2018, she saw its contribution to her livelihood. Therefore, she was eager to make it work despite the many challenges they have faced throughout their attempts to integrate aquasilviculture practices in their area. She is also very aware that they need the utmost assistance to incorporate aquasilviculture in their area, such as manpower and funding. Given her experience in mangrove conservation, Fabiana Balgamino has come across fish ponds that were full of life and ones that were empty and neglected. Fabiana lost hope for the fish ponds in her area until she and her samahan were introduced to aquasilviculture. She hopes to revive these empty fish ponds and transform them into livelihoods through aquasilviculture. She continues to believe that everyone in her area knows how vital it is to keep their mangrove fisheries and community thriving. Finally, we have Luni Abonya, who has spent decades learning and experiencing the works of mangrove conservation. Today, she uses that knowledge to encourage her community members to participate in the same practices. Although she and her community face challenges, highs, and lows, she continues to commit to the work and advocacy she believes in. Through these stories, we learn more about the community's passion and dedication to creating a better future for the environment.
The fisherfolk conservationist communities in Siruma were close to my heart from the start, especially because I live in the same province. I am no stranger to organizing grassroots campaign outside of my pursuits as a sociology student, but this was challenging for me because I had to work under the pressure of serving communities that I feel personally connected to and integrate my sociological learning when much of what I've learned in sociology has been theoretical and navigate the bureaucratic mechanisms of our partner organization, ISO. There's so much work that goes into information campaigns, a communication plan, a strong branding guidelines, a participatory relationship with the partner community, creative and sustainable ideas, and patience for feedback and revisions. The process was far from perfect, but I'm still proud of the stories of interest I had written and the videos I had edited for Siruma. The women and youth of Siruma exemplify the need for compassionate, decisive, socially and environmentally oriented leadership in these times of worsening pandemic, intensifying climate change, unsustainable livelihood, and inaccessible learning systems. Just as they inspired me to do my best in this campaign, I hope they compel everyone else to continue and innovate the legacy of mangrove conservation in their own communities all over the country.
Getting to know some of the people in Siruma caused somewhat of a spark in me. In a way, seeing their efforts and passion for the environment encouraged me to do more, both in life and for the environment. When they would discuss their work for mangrove conservation, the drive they had for it was apparent, as if it was a child they raised from scratch. They talk about making a mark or leaving a legacy, which only shows how much they've already found their purpose, and they're willing to do everything they can to achieve that. In essence, I am inspired by the stories I've heard. What they told me will serve as an inspiration to me and to whoever reads it.
Although the course turned out to rely on online communication in order to interact and immerse myself in the lives of those who reside in my assigned community, I wasn't expecting the fruitful and enjoyable experience that the course had provided. Given the activities that the course had in store for us, it really made me feel like I was actually in the community with them because of how committed we were to the area. I have decided to categorize my main reflections from this course under the knowledge that I had gained throughout the whole process. Honestly, I had no idea what mangroves and aquasilviculture were and what its contributions were to those who reside in Siruma. However, I realized its importance and how suitable it was for the people in Siruma and the various benefits it brings to its residents. Despite the heavy workload and the time restrictions, I am glad to have taken this course as it taught me to always open myself to new experiences and learnings.
Overall, I learned two things from this project. First is that as researchers, we are often pushed to generate and create knowledge, but not so often as to apply it and go beyond generating knowledge. Being part of the process of implementing this project was a pleasure, and I really do hope that what we gathered and put out will generate and attract the right attention to the efforts of the ISO. Second is that a lot more goes into mangrove conservation than an average person would probably assume. The administrative work, the design, marketing, dealing with so many different organizations, All of these are not necessarily what one would expect when engaging with mangrove conservation work, yet this project was able to bring to light how these skills and this process are necessary in order to ensure that we are able to acquire and gain the backing in order to push forward with these projects and do the good work that needs to be done in order to be able to save our mangrove ecosystems.
I was very curious coming into this research assignment. It was a great opportunity to learn more about the culture here in the Philippines since I grew up abroad in the Middle East. I think one thing that struck me the most was how much empowerment really does go a long way. And this organization in Suruma really showcases that a lot. And as someone who doesn't have much background in the Philippine environment and culture, I can say that I was really happy to learn a lot from the interviews and past researches made. I became really connected to this community despite not being able to see them face to face in person, and as well as not being able to stand there with them in their environment and to face the conditions that they were going through. The work that they're doing is very admirable. Getting to know these leaders and what they're trying to fight for really puts their goal in a perspective that really centers around future generations first. And I've also always wanted to know what kind of hardships organizations like these face, especially during a crisis like global warming, for example. They really answered that question. They made it a point to emphasize the importance of mangrove systems, especially in a flood-prone coastal area. And I guess to conclude my reflection on the whole process, it was very fulfilling to do this. I wish we could have been able to conduct a face-to-face meeting with the community and the organization's leaders, but unfortunately, due to our current condition, we had to conduct online interviews. But nonetheless, I was able to get myself invested in their daily struggles, even just for a slight moment. I got a glimpse of a world that is truly unique, yet really worth getting to know. So thank you.
Active, free, and meaningful participation and development processes. Ito ang tumatak sa akin sa aking klase sa human rights. Ipinaalam ng mga katangiang ito na taglay natin bilang tao ang right to development o ang karapatang umunlad. Kumbaga, nakaangklang pagyabong ng aking sarili sa pagkakaroon ng lubos na pag-unawa sa pag-usbong ng tao at ng lipunang kinagagalawan niya. Bilang isang mag-aaral ng sosyolohiya, napapaisip din ako minsan, para kanino nga ba ang pag-aaral namin ng sosyolohiya? Para saan kami umuunawa ng lipunan? Naging pala yung pagbuo ng website na ito sa pagsagot ng mga aming katanungan. Hindi ko maisip na ang pananaliksik ay maaaring magbigay boses sa mga pinuno na maipahayag ang kanilang buhay at ang pang-araw-araw nilang katotohanan. Maaaring mang sa pamamagitan ng kanilang tinig o kanilang mga lente. Napagtanto ko kung paano hinubog ng sosyolohiya ang paglago ko bilang tao, ngunit pinapayagan rin ako netong isabuhay ang faith that does justice. Isang paniniwalang nagpapahintulot sa mga pinuno at mananaliksik na lumago. Okay po, and that concludes our presentation po under the Siruma team po. So hopefully we gave the interest stories justice, and at the end of the day, I hope that we imbibe na at the end of the day, we need to recognize the voices of the community leaders who build the backbone of our economy, of our society, and of our culture. So ayan na po, maraming salamat po muli sa Department of Sociology and Anthropology from the Anthropological and Sociological initiatives of the Ateneo. We'd also like to thank the Institute of Social Order by keeping up the NGO culture alive and relevant to our generation din po. And we thank our participants din po, and special shout out din po kay Nanay Luni for attending din po and for offering valuable insights po tungkol po sa pangangalaga ng bakawan. Muli po, maraming salamat po para sa lahat and have a great day po.
Thank you, Matthew, and the rest of the Siruma group for sharing the voices and stories of the women leaders of Siruma. Yan. So you may read their full stories of interest and access all the group's web pages and materials by visiting the ISO website at instisocialorderph.org. So the Mangrove website project can be found by going to the collaboration section on the top menu. So now that we've heard the students' presentations as well as their reflections, let us also hear the feedback from ISO and the members of the communities that they have worked with. So first off, we have Ms. Roseanne Valdez of the Sendro of the city of San Fernando, La Union. So she is an environmental management specialist in this office. So good morning po, Ms. Rose Ann.
Hello, good morning po. And good morning po sa ating lahat na kasama po sa presentation ngayong umaga. Comment po for Team La Union. So congratulations po Team La Union. Ganda po ng presentation niyo, napaka-informative and ang gaan nung pag tinitingnan po siya yung presentation. Bale, ang gaan po, napaka-light, napakadali po siyang intindihin. But comment lang po dito short comment lang po dito sa website. Nag-run through po ako dun sa website, visit ko po. Medyo kailangan lang po siguro nating i-update yung ibang information kasi nakalagay po dito sa part ng problem. If I may read that immediate action. So, open and close parenthesis, ISO 2015. So, baka kailangan lang po siguro natin i-update yung ibang information na nag-gather po natin. One is the need for protection of endangered species, especially pawikan. Though, meron na po tayong mga projects and programs na ginagawa. Declining fish catch and fish stocks. So, kailangan po siguro nating sabihin kung saan po natin nakuha yung information at kailangan po nating i-verify kung talaga nga pong bumababa yung fish catch or stocks. Or baka ng 2015 lang po ito. Baka ngayong 2021 or the past year is meron po tayong bagong data. The need for mechanism and legal instrument that safeguard fishery resources. So, we have a lot of legal instrument po for protecting our coastal resources. And yun lang po, but overall, napakaganda po, napaka-informative po ng presentation. Maraming salamat po sa pag-cater po ng San Fernando La Union to be part of this presentation and to be a part of this study. Once again po, congratulations po sa Team La Union and salamat din po ISO Ateneo. Hi Ma'am Liza, good morning po. Thank you po Ma'am. Yun lang po, maraming salamat po. And good morning po sa ating lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Rose Ann, for the feedback. So it is indeed good practice to have published materials kahit po yung sa website to be validated by our partner communities. And it is something that ISO has been practicing in its community organization efforts sa aming mga partner areas on the ground. So yun. So in behalf of ISO, we'd also like to thank you again for working with us in this endeavor. So now we also welcome Ms. Gian Shenibatwigas. So she is a former ISO project officer for Culyon to give us her take on the students' work. Yan. So, Ms. Che.
Hello. Ayan. Sana naririnig po.
Yes, clear
try
po.
kong mag-open ng cam. Ayan. Sige, since madilim magdalang. First, in behalf of everyone in Culyon na naging engaged sa Summerfield School, we would like to congratulate and thank everyone who worked hard for this project. Kanina din binabrowse ko din yung website ng ISO. Tapos nakita ko may nakita lang ako ng quote. Siguro sabihin ko na lang sa konteksto ng Culyon patungkol sa solid waste management at sa mangrove conservation, lahat talaga ay makakatulong sa pagbabago at lahat ay may kanya-kanyang tungkulin na dapat gampanan. Parang nakita ko din to kanina sa website. Totoo po na marami pa talagang dapat gawin, no? At malayo pa kung tutuusin, pero nakakatuwa na sa pamamagitan ng collaboration na ito at sa iba't ibang effort ng lokal na pamahalaan at mga barangay LGUs, nararamdaman at mararamdaman na ng mga komunidad na ang usaping solid waste management at mangrove conservation ay kailangan, importante at dapat agaran. Ang project na ito ay makakapagbukas ng mga opportunities sa Culyon. Siguro isa na lang doon ay ang connecting people, connecting Culion-born residents, tourists who have been in and out of Culion, NGOs, NGAs, communities in and around Culion para sa ma-facilitate at ma-promote ang awareness, makapag-plan ng mga programs para sa Culion, para sa ikagaganda ng Culion. Meron lang akong wish, I'm not sure kung paano siguro natin madadala sa komunidad yung mga publicized na material. Sana there is really a way na ma-bring down natin sa community kasi may mga communities talaga tayo na walang internet access, so sana may mga materials really for them. But aside from that, yung mga meron, this is really, really helpful for them. Yun. Salamat po, maraming salamat sa ISO at sa mga sa buong CFS ay SFS na team. Yun lang po. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Che, for your feedback and for being a part of this project as well. So, tama ka. So, let us remain hopeful that initiatives such as this website and other awareness-raising campaigns will help in growing support for a continuous mangrove and also coastal resource management in Culion. Ayan. So, maganda kasi yung area. So, maganda rin na masustain natin yung mangrove management doon. So, last but not the least, let's go all the way to Region 5. Ayan. So let us welcome Ms. Maria Luni Ebonia. She is an officer of the Samahan ng mga Maliit na Mangingisda ng Batandang Siruma, one of ISO's partner people's organizations. She is also the agriculture technician for fisheries in the municipality. Ayan. So good morning po, Ate Luni. Live na po ba si Ate Luni ngayon? Ayan. Magandang umaga po.
Ayun, sir. Hello.
Hello po.
Morning. Wait lang po. Ayan.
Sige po, Ate Luni. And so si Ate Luni po was featured also in the website, no? So meron siyang stories of interest doon.
Good morning po.
Good morning, Ate Luni.
Good morning sa Ateneo. Good morning po sa ISO, sa host ng program sa Seoul. Thank you, napaganda ng relib ng presentation day now. At napaka-inspire. Thank you, sir. And siguro na ano lang, napapansin lang namin bakit kami babae na mga leaders na naging interest po sa pagiging maging mapaganda ang aming mangrove area, and patuloy na ito ay binabantayan at so para sa amin ang nangunguna talaga yung mga babae, kasi nga sa amin talaga yung mga lalaki medyo hindi po sila gaano sa pag interest sa ng mangrove area, dahil nga nakapokus po talaga sa paghahanap buhay sa kanilang pamilya. So kami po ng mga babae naging interest po dito. Kami po talaga yung naging nangunguna kung paano po alagaan ang aming kapaligiran. So maliban sa mangrove area, dito pa rin kami para protektahan din ang sa aming kapalibutan, lalo na po yung sa kadagatan. So napakaganda po ng presentation. Nakita din ng Anthony Roma na malinaw po, ma'am, and salamat po sa ISO na patuloy na tumutulong po sa Siroma para po maging sustainable po talaga yung pangalaga ng mangrove area. So lalo po yung mga tao, yung tao sa tao sa komunidad, na sana po patuloy yung kanilang awareness, lalo na yung sama-sama para po mapagyamanin namin ito. So, salamat po sa Team Seroma, salamat po sa ISO. Thank you po, Ma'am Kayla.
Thank you po, Ate Luni. Maraming salamat po. And masaya po kami na nakasama namin kayo ngayon kahit po virtual lang. Ayan. So maraming salamat din po sa pagpapaunlak sa mga Ateneo students. Ayan.
You're very welcome.
So last but not the least, we proceed with another representative of the Institute of Social Order. He is the program manager of the institute, so Mr. Aaron Bustamante.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning po. So magandang umaga po sa lahat. Isang pagbati sa lahat ng bumubuo ng Sociocultural Summerfield School, lalo na sa mga estudyante at kina Dr. Glenda Wui at Dr. Liza Lim. So congratulations po. Binabati ko ang mga estudyante sa kanilang malikhain at komprehensibong pagtatalakay sa iba't ibang issue ng mangrove management, lalo na sa San Fernando City, La Union, Siruma, Camarines Sur at Culion, Palawan. Sa maikling panahon ay naranasan nilang makisangkot sa gawaing pagpoprotekta ng kalikasan kahit na sa panahong may pandemya gamit ang mga makabagong pamamaraan. Ang Summerfield School na po ito ay isa o una sa mga collaboration ng Institute of Social Order at DSA or Department of Sociology and Anthropology at makukonsidera po nating parte ng engagement with the youth and reconciliation with creation na major thrust ng Society of Jesus, Philippine Province. So sa bahagi naming nasa ISO, ito ay nagsilbing isang oportunidad at pagkakataong matuto. Una, oportunidad upang maitala, ma-document at mas maibahagi pa ng ISO ang mga ginagawa nito sa mas malawak na audience. Pangalawa, bilang pagkakataong matuto, ang collaboration ito kasama ng mga estudyante ay isang magandang paraan of doing things in a new way, lalo na pagdating sa distance learning, immersion, at lalo na sa community development. Ngunit hindi din naman natin maikakailan na may mga pagsubok na sa pagkasagawa at pagkasakatuparan ng Summerfield School. May mga kinaharap tayong pagsubok tulad ng pag-schedule ng mga interviews, FGDs, lalo na may mga mahihinang internet o tsaka data signal sa ibang areas, pagkuha na pag-gather ng data, at lalo na paggamit ng online platforms. Isa ring malaking pagsubok yung limitadong oras sapagkat kinakailangang matapos yung mga outputs sa loob lang ng maikling intersession period. Dahil na rin sa maraming datos na nakuha ng mga estudyante, so congratulations on that, marahil nangangailangan pa rin ng mas masinsinang pagsusuri, verification at sabi nga pag-update ng mga datos upang mas mapalitaw pa natin yung mga isyung gustong ipaabot natin sa nakararami. Pero sa kabila ng lahat ng ito, natutuwa po kami, ang ISO, ang Programs Division, ang mga communities sa kinalabasan ng Summerfield School at muli binabati po namin ang lahat. So maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Sir Aaron. And thank you very much also for all the students, the professors, ISO staff, and of course, our community partners. So this project wouldn't be possible without you. And we're glad that this website project was able to feature your stories and brought the wider audience closer to you despite being physically away from each other. So maraming salamat po. Ayan. So I think we have a few minutes, no? Medyo meron tayong matagal na oras to welcome comments and questions from the audience here in Zoom and also from the Facebook live stream. So kung meron po kayong mga comments, questions, or even suggestions kung paano po natin mas mapapaganda yung website project, you can also comment in the comment section ng Facebook or also here in the Zoom chat. And so meron po ba tayong questions? I think a while ago there was this there was this comment in Facebook, in the FB Live. I think this is addressed to one of the students. So kung nandito pa siya, maybe she can respond. So this is addressed to Kyla, Kaila. I think this is member ng LU group. So I assume you are related to the Adarna Publishing House. So do you intend to publish the storybooks for wider reach for the schools and for other platforms? So this is from Floy Soriano. So comment siya sa FB Live. I think this is for LU team. Nandito pa ba siya? Ayan. So Sir Floy, sir ba, or for Floy Soriano. So hindi raw po siya related to the Adorno Publishing House, but it would be a great idea. I think we also agree from ISO that it would be a great idea if we can publish this book. But of course, it's also subject to further edits before publishing. But that's a good ways forward for the effort. Ayan. So to address po kanina, I think si Miss Che, she also raised the question of how to distribute the brochures. If you check the ISO website, so meron pong brochures doon ang Team Kulyon that they wrote specifically for the community members. Ayan. So Dr. Liza Lim responded that the brochures may be printed for dissemination to the communities. So if actually this brochure is downloadable from the website. The Kulyon team prepared a version that can be downloaded for digital consumption, pero they also have a printable version, so printer friendly, black and white lang siya para tipid sa ink. Ayan. And to Miss Rose Ann, we'll look into that po yung sa information namin, so we'll see that we can update that. Do you have any more questions?
Baka po messages sa mga estudyante, baka meron kayo.
Ako po may message pala direct. So congratulations to the students for a job well done. Ayan. So maganda po yung maganda po yung actually sa RPD we saw the development from the draft up to the version of the website that they have presented today. And maganda po talaga yung naging nila, development from their draft to their final product. So congratulations to all the groups. So if there are no more questions or messages for the students, may we call on Dr. Jowel Canuday, Chairperson of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology for the closing remarks.
Thank you, Kyla. Good morning, everyone, and probably good evening to some who are in the different time zones.
I'll probably start with what is universally acknowledged, which is a congratulations to your splendid work. And I think the congratulations are in order to all of the the persons or the teams that had been part of initiating this effort. And that goes to, of course, the students of the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, the AB Sociology students, but it also goes to the congratulations to the Institute of Social Order and the partner organizations and communities, the local governments, I believe, of San Fernando, of La Union, the Palawan, and also of Camarines Sur. And finally, but most importantly, are the community partners that we all have worked with in this endeavor. And congratulations to the leaders of the different projects, areas in the communities that had initiated this mangrove engagement. And I think that's a truly there's a feat that we can only marvel on, in as much as we are also marveling the product of what we are launching today, the websites, and the videos and other educational and instruction materials that we can find. Having said all of this, I'm actually relieved as well as over the moon in seeing that the principles that we were trying to advocate at the department, the principle of co-production, co-creation, co-benefits, and co-ownership of knowledge, of engagement, of outputs, of things that we can create, is being seen here alive and well, and what we can actually engage in this forum. I see this as public sociology or engaged anthropology par excellence, in a sense that we are able to we manage to actually do this. Now, probably finally, there's no, I believe that there's no replacement. There's no any alternative than the goodness, the fit, and the rightness of going out to the field to engage with people, to touch base face to face, and to live with the people whom we are engaging in or with. Though what this project, what must have been accomplished by the teams who organized this is the possibility to imagine what we can do amidst limitations. And in fact, we have broken down limitations. We have breached what we might term as something unimaginable, something that cannot be done through the processes that you've been through. Yes, technology is an aid, but this technology has allowed us that compassion and commitment, as well as the spirit of engagement, the spirit of service, and the spirit of being one with the community and the people can never be diminished. And it's up to us as persons who would actually be reaching, or who would have to find a way in overcoming the limitations that we do, because that's what we do as human beings. Again, congratulations to all of the workers of this engagement, of this very, very fine engagement. And I hope that we can have more partnerships of this sort, including the students, finally, when they graduate in the future. And this can never be, this can remain not just in the memory, but also in the future, as we act and engage with the public and with communities in this kind of endeavors. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you po, Dr. Canuday. I think we also have messages from Dr. Liza Lim.
Sige, well, just just to close, I really want to congratulate this batch. They've really put in a lot of efforts despite the pressures that they're in. And as I mentioned in the chat box, it's really, really a pleasure working with you guys. I hope that you would continue this maybe not probably in your own lines of interest as well. I hope that you are able to gain something also from your engagement with us. Maraming salamat. And in behalf of the staff also, I think we would like to express our thanks and also our tawag dito, our congratulations to everybody. Marami pang salamat. Baka si Glenda might have something to say as well.
Ma'am, thank you lang ako sa mga students. I was just so amazed with their resilience, despite all yung mga problems nila and also struggles amidst the pandemic, being a student, being a teenager and all that, but still they still put in a lot of effort in their projects, and they really, really work hard. Like we can see in their group chats, like late in the evenings, early in the mornings, they've been working on their projects, and they came up with a very amazing outputs in a span of 5 weeks. So it's really, really amazing. And nakakabilib talaga yung ginawa nila. So congratulations to all the students. We are so proud of you. And sana nga sabi niya, Ma'am Liza, tuloy niyo yung mga umpisa ninyo na ginawa ninyo sa klase natin. Salamat.
Maraming salamat po to Dr. Liza Lim and to Dr. Glenda Wui. So again, we at the ISO would like to thank the Department of Sociology and Anthropology and also the Anthropological and Sociological initiatives of the Ateneo for giving us the opportunity to take part in this collaboration. So with that, we officially close the event. So please visit the ISO website at nstsocialorderph.org to access all the web pages and materials of the class. So the Mangrove website project can be found by going to the collaboration section on the top menu. So congratulations again to the students. Good job. Ayan. So maraming salamat po for being with us today. Good morning and God bless.
Photo ops ka ba?